The time is nigh. Open up your eyes to see the signs of the times. Got to be wise to all of their lives. Look to the skies from where my help comes. Wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up above the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mud.
Might need the mic. Greetings in the name of His and Her Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, Empress Wazir Menin. Yes, family, one perfect balance. Greetings and welcome to Politically Incorrect, where you get it correct. If we're not correct, feel free to correct us. Yes, Sean, I see you. I get your message. You say I late. How I late? Tell me how I late, man. Gee, John, I was traveling through the galaxy just to get here, man. I was on a mission. Yeah, it got held up a little bit in the celestial realm. You know how it be. Like the angels in the book of Daniel. Yeah, they got caught up. They was putting in that work. So, but welcome, family, to another fabulous, fantastic Friday. You can believe that already. It's just every time you turn around, you look around, we here. And tonight I have some questions I want to pose. Is this the re-enslavement of Barbados? I want to take a closer look, my perspective, of course, at a conversation that took place in Parliament. Everybody did, well, he learned Attorney General, Mr. Dale Marshall. I don't know if y'all paying attention to that or not, but we need to. I think he said some profound things that Barbadians, he's always a very seemingly mild-mannered and very poised individual when it comes to his speaking. It is pure sorcery here. Pure sorcery. And we're going to look at it today, man. So hopefully somebody could go and send him a message, because I already told you he should have been stepped down. But he can't do it because I'll show you why. The plan is to re-enslave Barbadians. And he actually said it. He literally said it. But, a lot of people don't get it because of the way in which things are said. It usually just fly right over people's head, right? Because I ain't under the spell. I understand it. I see it clearly. So we're going to take a look at it, family. We're going to take a look at it. Having said that, man, you know what? Hold a second, man. Give me a second. Let me just do some in-house work. Real quick. Just for the record, family.
Real news for the people in real time. Politically incorrect. Royal elect, it's time to get in place for real news for the people in real time.
Real news for the people in real time. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We're going to taxi down the runway. For those who celebrate today as a sacred day, I say to you, Shabbat Shalom, Assalamu Alaikum to the Islamic community, Peace Hotep, Conscious Crew, Maroons, the Moors, Ashe and Hotep to the conscious community. You already know. The brothers and the sisters out in the East, Namaste. To the brethren and the sisters throughout the world, Rastafari, Kidamari, and anybody else plugging in and tuning in, it is love and pure light. Simply love and light. Show it to all the territories across the world, but definitely the Caribbean, the Caribbeans, the Antilles, from Dominica, right all the way down Guyana. Y'all already know my Guyanese people, my Trinidad family. Show it to the family in Trinidad, the Empress in the territory, Grenadians, know the Vincentians, the Yaramians, the Hyroon people, St. Lucia, we are there, Antigua be coming soon, man. And of course, all the other islands in between there. Can't left out St. Lucia, man. St. Lucia, that special place. So, gosh. But nevertheless, we there, man. Sean, I see you, man. Like I said, man, we ain't never late. We always say, King Alfred, I see you. Greetings. Welcome. I wasn't I was projected. Tiger, you understand that one. No. But I was definitely traveling, man. But it was good stuff. Good stuff. Greetings, family. Greetings to you, two mighty beings. Y'all already know This is going to be interesting. I'm telling you, man. I'm not even going to waste time because of the time, but this needs to be heard. A few other things I got to drop as well. Maybe I should drop those first instead. A few things happened this week that I would like to think that we were paying attention to. One of it, in fact, I'll tie it in later on. I'll tie it in. I'll let this play and I'll tie it in. I think that's the best way because it is relevant to what we're going to be discussing. But from the standpoint of solution. So I won't discuss a solution before we recognize what the issue is. Let me do it that way. Yeah, we definitely do it that way. So first up on this right here. It's like, I don't even know if I should play it. I can play it, man. I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, got it covered. All right, let me just jump right into it. Greetings, Maria. See you. Good to see you. Been a minute. Hope all is well with you and the family, considering all. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Let me put this clip on here from now because this is where it gets. It's where it gets sticky. Yes. This the one? I think this is the one. Yeah, because there's two of them. So I don't want to put the wrong one up. Let me just jump into this. I trust that everybody had a good week. It was strong. You had a strong week, considering all. Let me go ahead and add this right here. Is this the one? Wait, hold on. It's not coming up. This one is this the one with the yeah, here it is. Yeah, there you go. Part one. Yeah, definitely it. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is gonna be a little live tonight, man. I'm telling you. All I gotta do is show you a glimpse of it. And just put that right there. Not a glimpse of it right there. Mr. Dale Marshall, Mr. Senior Counsel. Now, I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute while some folks come on in. Go tell a friend to tell a friend, family. Go tell a friend to tell a friend. Take a minute to tell a friend, man. I'm telling you, this is definitely real news for the people in real time. Yep. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I mean, is this the re-enslavement of Barbados? And I'm only using that word re-enslavement loosely because, the way it seems as, it never ended. But what was said is a sure indication that is the direction this is going. And this may sound, a little alarming, or, but this is nothing to miss tonight. If none other night, stick around. I'm going to explain what he said that points in that direction. Pun intended. So you can't afford to miss this, man. We're going to go through this conversation he had in Parliament, piece by piece, for sure. Rhonda, greetings. Shout out to the family all the way down there in Georgetown. Y'all already know. Shout out to the family, Kadaki and the crew. You playing with it? Yeah, why not, man? Why not? Get familiar with the AI, Sean, because it's here to stay. Beverly, what's up, Beverly? I ain't hear you in a while, Bev. I hope that all is well with you, family, and everybody else. I hope that your health and strength is good, that you're having a ball, enjoying your time in this retirement stage. Yes. This is going to be so crazy here. I don't even know what to say to this, man. I should probably put that one on later. But go tell a friend and tell a friend, family. Hold on a second. Let me just go ahead and I'm going to paste this one here. Let me get this one too. Go tell a friend and tell a friend, family. I'm going to play this in a minute, man. Y'all ain't going to believe what was said. I am telling you. It's just crazy, when you hear the Attorney General speaking about, kind of the violence in Barbados and the crimes in Barbados, and then talked about, in his time, when he was a young lad. I'm going to play the video. I really can't believe he said it, but they're talking about re-enslaving Barbadians and perhaps even the wider Caribbean. And that's a danger. That's the problem, because if we're not paying attention, like this will go right past you. This is not a conversation you want to miss. So as much as folks might not think this is relevant, I'm going to let the Attorney General of Barbados tell you that he plans to re-enslave you, because that is what he said. So before I go any further, let me just drop this right now, man. Let's let this play. Let's let this play. In the meantime, hold on a minute. Greetings to you, Miss Smith. Good to see you. Blessings to you and your entire family. You and the King, man. Shout out to the whole Smith family. Empress, I see you too, family. Greetings. Family said everyone is okay. Thanks for asking. For sure. Big pain in the building. Big pain in the building. We see you. Listen, brethren, I'm telling you, man, I can't believe when he said it, when I heard what he said. I'm going to play it. Hold on. I'm going to play it right now. Hang on a second. We just jump right into this. Listen carefully, family, to what our learned Attorney General. This is not a regular guy. This is somebody that's learned, in the arts of sorcery and the language of law, legalese. Listen to him very carefully.
And the Barbados Police Service.
Listen.
Mr. Chairman, this year, my ministry will benefit from an allocation of funding in the amount of $248,454,305. Of this amount, $158,336,959 is the non-statutory portion. And to remind members of the chamber, the statutory portion relates to wages, salaries, and the like. Well, the non-statutory portion are those discretionary amounts which are voted by the Parliament, and those are the amounts that will be spent by all of these departments on various work programs.
All right, so he talks about the money his office stands to benefit from. That's the word he used, benefit, right? I suppose, I suppose it's a benefit. But now listen to this carefully.
That amount does not include the DPP. The DPP's non-statutory allocation is $1.857 million. Of this $248+ million, the Barbados Police Service, not surprisingly, receives the lion's share of our allocation. That's about $170 million.
So the Police Department of Barbados gets about $170 million to carry out the work that they are commissioned to do. Sounds like a lot of money. I suppose there's, I don't know, but that's not even the point. But listen carefully.
I think if members took the trouble to go through the estimates over the last few years, you would see that on every year on year, larger and larger allocations are made for the police service.
Okay.
I think that it's important here for me to thank especially the members of the police service for working tirelessly and delivering for the people of Barbados time and time again.
And just for the record, I agree in part. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of good people that do the work and the service under that umbrella that mean well, sincerely, and do work accordingly. But we haven't forgotten that the policy enforcers, known as the police, are descended from the plantocracy, what were known as the slave catchers. So we mustn't lose sight of what's going on. Otherwise, we'll lose sight of where this is going. We mustn't lose sight of that. So we know that this is the organization that once would pursue, capture, and in some cases did what they had to do accordingly based on the instructions they were given, because these are the ones that enforce the policy on the plantation. Of course, when that whole system of enslavement changed into a corporate colony situation, well, they title changed, but the jar remained the same. Like Kentucky Fried Chicken. The name changed, but the KFC is still the same Colonel's secret recipe.
This is Aldous Huxley wrote a book, I think, called A Brave New World. Perhaps in many respects, this is a brave new world for us. Every day, members of this chamber and the general public will see situations on social media where individuals test the resolve and the commitment of the Barbados Police Service. When we were all growing up, A policeman was a person to be respected. A policeman was a person to be feared. Mr. Chairman, I grew up in Parish Land, St. George, and as a boy, not me, because my parents did not allow me, but we had scooters. And you know that the scooters were up and down the road. You only had to hear the word police, and every man jack will snatch up his scooter and run through behind somebody's house, nearest cane ground, whatever it was, because police were feared and respected. Today, you witness on social media situations where people are openly combative and disrespectful to the police service. That is the media in which they operate today, and that is why we have to be thankful for their commitment. More now than ever, when a police officer goes on duty, he does not know what will confront him. And in the worst of instances, he has to ask himself, will I make it back home?
All right. So, like you said,
somebody's house, nearest cane ground, whatever it was, because police were feared and respected.
Police were feared and respected. I ain't gonna say this, man. I know a lot of folks ain't gonna like this. Perhaps even some police officers. But if you feel a way about this, it's probably you we talking about. Because any individual, any person who wants to control you with fear is seeking to enslave you. I'm gonna say that again. Anybody, any entity, any group that's seeking to control you with fear. He said police were respected and police were feared. Well, I've learned, that respect lasts longer than fear. That's why the people no longer fear the police, because they used to use fear tactics to control the people. The people are no longer afraid. So guess what? Those tactics no longer carry the weight they thought it used to carry. You see, but the other police officers, the policy enforcers who are respected, they will always get respect from the people. So we ain't talking about the ones that govern with respect. Respect is given, respect is earned. We don't just give respect because you're supposed to automatically get it. You don't get it, clearly. Perhaps because, Mr. Dale Marshall, your parents didn't allow you. So you really don't have a right to even speak on this matter because you really ain't got a clue what you're speaking on, clearly. Perhaps that's why you, at the time, perhaps maybe feared the police as well. Police are not to be feared. Why would I need to fear the individuals who have been tasked, who have chosen to secure and keep the people safe? Why would the people who depend on the individuals to keep them safe somehow have to fear them, Mr. Dale Marshall? That is such a again, right? I've said this to you before on more than one program, and perhaps you would have heard it by now. Maybe you're not even interested. I don't know. But how is it that you're telling me, well, you're telling the people of Barbados, the good people of Barbados, that they should be afraid of the people who are being paid upwards to $170 million to keep them safe, that they're supposed to also be afraid of them? You actually go on international television. This is internet. This is all over the world. I mean, this is not 16, 27, 26, 27. I know we in 2025, approaching 2026, 27. And the contract is probably up. You're trying to put Barbadian society back into the grasp of the plantocracy fully. But you actually realize, don't you have like somebody to nudge you? You came on here and you told the people of this nation that in your time they should be feared. And because today they're showing you that they're not afraid, that there's something wrong with them. You know who also said that? Some psychologist, I don't remember his name right now, but y'all can Google it. He actually said that at the time, back in the 16th and 18th century, 17th, especially the 17th century, he had said, and I'll get his name and I'll probably post it if I can remember it tonight. He had said that any African or person of African descent who attempted to escape enslavement, there was something psychologically wrong with them. Imagine that. This is a psychologist, pardon me, at the time, who said that there was something psychologically wrong with any individual seeking to flee enslavement. because of the inhumane treatment that was being given. He had written that something wrong with them mentally. This is equivalent to the Attorney General saying that Barbadians should be fearful of the police establishment. The same individuals who have volunteered to keep this nation safe away from quote unquote activities that perhaps are criminal in nature or detrimental at best to the welfare of the nation as a whole. Imagine that. He actually said they should be feared. Now, he said a few things, and I want to get into it as well, because if you don't take this within the context, you would think that this learning man was saying something of value. And I appreciate Ms. Mortley for this statement, but in reality, what he's saying is that, you know, y'all need to be put on the lock and key, back in chains, because how dare you not fear those that we have financed to keep you in bounds. So whereas he thinks that the media that highlight these instances where people challenge the policy enforcers, keep in mind, because they're enforcing a policy does not make the policy pleasing to the people. And therefore, the people have a right to oppose any form of policy that go against the nature and the laws of God, the supreme sovereign laws of God. So, Mr. Attorney General, I'm a little confused with your statement, because outside of the plantation, you wouldn't hear that. So are you suggesting that Barbadians be re-enslaved and therefore then under the harsh, cruel, unusual? In fact, let me see if I can read it here. Hold on a second, because I know I found it earlier. Let me see if I can find out. On Barbados, the first Black slave society. The first Black slave society. Barbados was the birthplace of British slave society and the most ruthless colonized by British ruling elite. Listen to this. Barbados was the birthplace of the British slave society. It's the birthplace of the British slave society and the most ruthlessly colonized by Britain's ruling elite. Are you suggesting, Mr. Dale Marshall, that Barbadians revisit this? They made their fortunes from sugar production by an enslaved disposable workforce, man. That's what it was. And this great wealth secures Britain's place as an imperial superpower and caused untold suffering. We got to thank Mr. Hilary Beckles for that one. I think that's from one of his excerpts on Barbados, the first Black society. An interesting read if you start to read it and realize just why Barbados is Barbados. And here we have our Attorney General telling us, you know, that we need to be fearing those who have been commissioned and paid well up to $170 million to keep us safe. We should be fearful of those individuals. But let me tell you the rest. Hold on.
Today, you witness on social media situations where people are openly combative and disrespectful to the police service. That is the media in which they operate today. And that is why we have to be thankful for their commitment. More now than ever, when a police officer goes on duty, he does not know what will confront him. And in the worst of instances, he has to ask himself, will I make it back home to my family and my loved ones today? This unprecedented commitment to the police in terms of $170 million, and generally the unprecedented vote that is being given to the Ministry of Legal Affairs and the Office of the Attorney General, underscores the commitment given in our Covenant of Hope. This chamber, both sides of it, well remember the Covenant of Hope which the Barbados Labour Party presented to the country and published in 2016. In that document, we committed to the people of Barbados that the first call on public resources would be for the maintenance of law and order, security, and public safety. This budget underscores that commitment. This budget underscores the work that we've done since coming to government in 2018 and the increasing value and importance that we place on this first bullet in our Covenant of Hope. Mr. Chairman, we also echoed a similar commitment in our 2018 manifesto when we, again, both sides of this chamber, set out our plan for citizen safety and well-being. And in that 2018 manifesto, we set out a multi-pronged plan ranging from the appointment of 2 additional temporary judges to clear the backlog of the courts in the criminal system. We made proposals then for dealing with morale in the police service. We talked about reducing the number of firearms in the hands of criminals. We talked in that manifesto about working with churches and NGOs in the fight against crime. Mr. Chairman, we discharged those responsibilities ably. We met the commitments made to the people of Barbados. And in every year on year, we have doubled down. I begin here, Mr. Chairman, because I feel it is important to go back to the period before when we were in government to set the context for what we have been doing and what we're doing now, what we propose to do for the next financial year. When we say that government is a continuum, we also should make the sister statement that governance is a continuum. It is important, Mr. Chairman, to go back to these things to make it clear that we recognize who it represents. And we know, sir, that guns don't dry rot. They last long. It's not like many other commodities. Mr. Speaker, let us get a few things straight, though. None of us in this government have been engaging in the business of blame. I only mention these things to set a context and to demonstrate how we got where we are. Our job, Mr. Chairman, and the job that we've not shirked from, not shied away from, is to take action and to deal with it. This crime situation did not arise overnight, and it will not be resolved overnight. It took decades to get here, and I hope that we can get out of it before plural. In other words, it will take some time, but I don't anticipate that it'll take us decades. But we know through human existence that the more serious the problem is, the more concerted the effort must be, and the more time it will take to wrestle it to the ground. Our crime situation is a serious problem, and it will take a serious effort, and it will take time. So for all of those who think that there's a magic wand to be waved, please think again. What I do know, though, is that we, as a country, are up to the task. The situation isn't dire, but it is serious. And Mr. Chairman, it is not a problem of those people or that person or the person over there or behind here. It is our problem. And it is a problem that must be tackled at multiple levels. It must be tackled by multiple players at the same time. The gun-toting vagabonds did not all of a sudden start to exhibit this kind of villainy a day in November or a day in August. They didn't start that way. They weren't born that way. So let us understand that we, all of us, need to begin by starting to fix the problem in the homes, in the schools, in the communities, on the streets, in the buses, in the minivans, at the bus stop. Every place that we have an opportunity to help to guide, advise, and correct somebody going wrong, it is our solemn obligation to do so.
Okay, I mean, for a minute, you would almost think he was passionate about what he was saying. You would think so, but we know better than that. Because like he said, this didn't start in November or October. This has been going on for a while. Yeah, but guess what, Mr. Dale Marshall? Since you've been in office, right, it has escalated at such an alarming rate. It's concerning. And like I said before, you, as just a matter of principle, have failed many families in Barbados. One young man is sufficient. How many young people have we lost to the senseless violence that has plagued the society since you've been in office? As if that doesn't affect you. You're not affected by that. So, for you, it's business as usual. You come in parliament, you speak about, we got to meet them everywhere to make a change, the bus stop, the gun-toting vagabonds, all this stuff. These is young men. For the most part, the ones who've been accused of committing these homicides are all young men. I mean, young men, give or take a few in between. For the most part, they are all young or youth. Gun-toting vagabonds. This is the new term we're using. You see, even in your speech and how you describe the individuals who are making clearly some unwise decisions, You're already labeling them, giving them a label that would obviously have an impact on the society to look and demonize and criminalize these young men who are being manipulated by people in high places. Like you said, we don't manufacture guns in Barbados. These gun-toting vagabonds, quote unquote, don't have the resources to do the same task you're referring to. So how are they getting them? Somebody facilitating it. Why don't you go after that? And here's another thing, though. I mean, without question, the language that is used by this individual called the Attorney General, Mr. Dale Marshall, it is so evident that he cares absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, about the youth of this nation. And what got me is Corey Lane sitting right there next to him. In fact, I remember Corey Lane very well. Speaking of vibes cartel, I remember Corey Lane from being on the radio, having a lot to say back then when we, Barbados Youth Action Program, was looking to do a program with the youth to help them, look at an alternate way of resolving their issues rather than going about the way in which they were going about. And, I remember who was speaking against it, even back then. Look, the universe is not without a sense of humor. I remember all y'all, man. Yeah. But Corey Lane had a place called the Fun Ranch. Y'all remember that too? Because it's been a while, so you probably don't remember that, where he had a lot of young men and stuff going up there. But I don't know if it's only young men. I don't know. But so he's familiar with the youth and the issues. This ain't nothing new. But to sit there and listen to the learned Attorney General, Mr. Senior Counsel, speak and describe and label our youth in such a vulgar and demonic way only speaks to what his objectives truly are. And it's no shame, it's obvious, because he sits there with a jacket and tie does not qualify him as a morally sound individual, despite his monotone at times. Like I said a minute ago, I would swear he was passionate about what he was saying. But I think we know better, because the choice of words you're using to describe the youth who are clearly misguided and making unwise decisions isn't coming from a place of love, Mr. Attorney General. That's why he's saying you should really step down as a matter of integrity. I mean, the world is watching. Do you not care? Do you have no shame? Do you not care and have no shame to think that when you leave that office, what you will be remembered as is the individual who cared nothing and openly told the world that you give not a damn about the youth of this nation or the region? Gun-toting vagabonds, not misguided young men making unwise decisions. They're gun-toting vagabonds. Meanwhile, the police sit right next to you and they don't even, that one for a later segment in the program. I got something to say about that too. That's my perspective. But before you go into that, I want you to finish the other thought you were saying here, man. Let me go forward, because family, hold on, let me check the comments, because I don't want to be, it can't just be me, man. It can't just be me, man. They said, never forget, they're still letting rich Caucasian men come in with boats for weapon sales, while allowing for an infinite warfare in Barbados between gunmen and the police. But there's a plan. There's a plan. I mean, we know there's a plan. You see all these solar panels that going up left, right, and center, all these solar farms. I mean, literally, despite the Light and Power say they ain't taking them, they're not really taking the power that kind of way. So it's like, why all these power plants going up, these solar power plants? Because when the electric grid fails, and it will, the only people who are going to have power is those who have the solar farms. When the electricity run out, I'm telling you, so when they feed in the grid, well, police going to have to police their own homes when the place get dread, man. It said Dale Marshall have been reading books. Oh man, dog whistle loud. He said, yep, these are all facts. That's right. Willie Lynch was here in Barbados But we had Draxall. Willie Lynch ain't got nothing on Draxall, man. Draxall make Willie Lynch look like a Boy Scout. It's crazy how numbers are dropping for listening. This is important. It affects across the board, the country, across the world. It's a fact, Tawana. It's a fact. You know, who have ears to hear, go and hear. Who have eyes to see, go and see. Whether you're on Facebook, my personal page, the Politically Incorrect page, or the YouTube channel, like it and tell a friend to tell a friend. Because in reality, the Caribbean about to experience something that is very familiar that took place 400 years ago. But because we're not paying attention and juxtaposing the two events, we don't realize they're looking at doing this thing again on a different level. Willie Lynch is the Drax family. Yeah, you got a point. You got a point. It's the task force you need to worry about. The police are basic and everyone knows them and their families. You mean the men in the ski masks, right? We don't care how much ski masks they got on. You don't care about that. They know why they gotta hide. They know why they gotta hide. I mean, it's pretty obvious why they gotta hide, who they are. No accountability. So I believe so, Mr. Cool. Serious. She said, what are NGOs? He's referring to the non-governmental organizations, different youth program, different churches and stuff. The problem, that's a good question. The problem with that is that they claim they're working with different organizations. But some of the most successful organizations in Barbados who have proven to have an impact on certain social levels, they don't call. They don't call. They don't deploy them. They don't even seek their counsel or their advice because they do not sincerely have an interest in helping the people. They talk about the churches. Let's be realistic. You really think that the youths out here running around the streets that doing allegedly the, what you call them? The gun-toting vagabonds are churchgoers like Mr. Dale Marshall? Like, really? That's probably why your parents didn't let you out the house. You wasn't too smart. All right, so you read some books, you got educated, but the problem with your education, Mr. Dale Marshall, is that you are educated. Nobody's questioning you on that. The problem is you are educated to do what you have been told. You're not educated or enlightened enough or intelligent enough to question what you have been educated. It's that simple. So you're not going to get it. Because in reality, these guys are not the ones going to church. They're not even looking to go to church. That spell is over. So what's causing these young men to make these kind of unwise decisions? It's a cultural issue. You realize that when you capture an animal in the wild, for example, not saying that people are animals, but just to show you the psychosis of an individual, fight or flight, going back to Sigmund Freud. When you corner an animal, you capture an animal and you put him in what is called a zoo, an artificial environment where you cater to all the needs. And you bring trainers out to abuse that said animal, to beat it into submission so that it fears the master. Fears, not respect, but fears the master. And you beat it and beat it. You ever notice that sometimes the bear would turn around and start to maul the instructor after a while, or the elephant would turn around and trample the instructor that used to use fear tactics? You ever notice how the animals would get loose and turn and terrorize and turn on everybody? Do you wonder why, Mr. Dale Marshall, from a psychological perspective, dealing with psychosis, why this happens? You take a natural being out of their natural environment, you enslave them for how many generations? You eventually come with this Eurocentric colonial nonsense thing that you can capture the mind and keep the body. But the problem is, although Willie Lynch said it would last for centuries, he did not say it would last indefinite. Take the mind, capture the body. You have control, but only for a time. The issue with our youth, and I'm going to say this now, well, I'll give you that solution in a minute. Let me just play this other part first, because I don't want to get the track. I want y'all to hear what he says, man. This is the Attorney General that's talking, saying all this stuff. I can't, and this is live, and folks in the room is cheering this on. Folks, you need to realize, right? You know, they always told you that Africans sold Africans into slavery? You ever heard that? Yeah, the white man, because the white man did not come to Africa and go all the interior Africa and capture individuals and came back out. That's not how the story was told. That's not how it unfolded. They had help on the inside. These are the insiders that would have helped them. It's obvious to a duck when you ought to pay attention, because the same descendants, like Mr. Draxall has his family that's still here that owns the same plantation in Barbados. And most folks in Barbados are descendants from those who were originally here and those who might have been enslaved that were brought here. Guess what? The plantocracy also have descendants that are still here knocking about. Most of them in disguise, they sit with you, amongst you, and you don't have a clue. But it's easy to spot them though. Energy don't lie. Let me give you some more energy from this guy right here. Speaking of guy, I'm gonna leave it at that.
The role of government, Mr. Chairman, is severely circumscribed. We don't reach into people's homes. We will not shirk in passing any laws. We will not shirk in equipping the police, and we've not.
We will not shirk in passing any law or equipping the police with whatever they need.
But we cannot legislate morality.
I like that. We cannot legislate morality. You either have it or you don't. Because the moral compass would dictate that Mr. Dale Marshall recognized that our youth are crying out in different ways. And the fact that this administration, and I don't want to even use this administration because for the concern, all of them is the same. Let me just make that clear. It doesn't matter this or that. These individuals do not have the interest of the people of the children of this nation, which is the future of this nation. We, the people, have to decide for ourselves what we want for ourselves, for our children, and our children's children. Because what are you about to say? In fact, let him say, what are you about to tell you right now? Go and prove that.
We cannot legislate respect for life or property. We cannot legislate against callousness. We cannot legislate decency and kindness and respect and thoughtfulness into the bosoms of any Barbadian. These are not values.
Yes, they can't give you all those things. Culture gives you those things. Culture. But when you strip the people of their culture, their language, everything that associates them, their gods, everything, then you give them the ways of the enslaver, the ways of the oppressor, the brutality, the viciousness, the violence, the subjugation, the separation. What do you expect, Mr. Dale Marshall? The society reflects the society.
These are not values that can be inculcated by governments. These are values that have to be inculcated in human beings through human interaction.
Well, the problem is that, when he said by human beings through human interaction, what exactly he means? Because is he suggest that they are not humans? Because they're the ones, right? I mean, they're the ones that claim that we're the ones overseeing the administrative run-ins of the nation. So if they don't have the capacity to do it, what does that say about them?
The point is, sir, that we all have a stake in this. We all have a role to play in making Barbados a safer place. We all have a role to play in turning our young men and women away from criminal actions.
In order to turn the youth away from criminal actions, you got to first stop the adults, Mr. Dale Marshall, from engaging in criminal actions. Speaking of which, though, Mr. Marshall, I got a document somewhere about here with your name on it involving a matter a few years ago that is quite suspicious, to say the least. One of these nights I go and look for it. I got to get somebody send me an email. I got to check my email or something, see what's going on. See if we can get back that document and make a post it and answer a couple of questions, because it's a bit shaky. Is this April Fool's starring Smiley? Oh, stop it, man. Stop it. Never ending. I looked it up. Got you covered, man. Serious problem indeed. This is, well, you know what, sis? It does affect us all. I remember as a youth, I remember as a young man at that age making unwise decisions. running the streets and getting involved in activities that were not in the interest of the whole. In reality, I can't say that I was gun-toting. Well, I don't know if I call myself a gun-toting vagabond. But like I said, a youth making non-wise decisions, and the youth crowd for help in different ways. The question is, who's listening, who's paying attention? And don't get tight with it. The educational system has a major role to play in the destabilization and the same gun-toting vagabonds that we're talking about. This same government, like all other governments, the Ministry of Education is a major contributor in the decline of this nation and of the status of our youth, and as far as the moral decline that he's talking about. Education, they have been educated to be the way they are. It is learned behavior. Otherwise, it's abnormal behavior. So where did they get it from? Who they getting it from? So the police will help fix that, Dale Marshall. Yeah, of course, 170 million? Shucks. Greetings, family. Greetings to you too, family. Tell a friend, family. Listen, you already know, if you're on here right now, you haven't done it already, to tell you to like, share, and subscribe. I ain't too fussy with all that, but at least tell a friend and tell a friend. You ain't gonna like it. You ain't even gonna subscribe if you don't want to. But definitely, if you appreciate the works, tell a friend and tell a friend, because I'm telling you, they ain't gonna push this. You already know the kind of hassle that we get over here on Politically Incorrect. You already know, man. You already know the guns is a result of money laundering from the same people in power. Jeez, yo, Sean, you read in my mind, because the next clip, well, not the next clip I can play, but the other thing he talked about was Barbados and money laundering. Like, and this man is sit there and say this with a straight face. That's how you know that they live. They live. I'm telling you, they live, man. Youth just need to understand the world is bigger than bad decisions. That's right. Get to know themselves. Knowledge of self. If they knew who they were, but they don't teach knowledge of self. Greetings, Pedro. I see you. They don't teach knowledge of self. They don't teach that. So of course the youth going to be led astray, because they don't have no foundation. How you going to build a house on sand? Then the water come in and then it start to collapse, and you want to know what's wrong with the house. The men build the house wrong. The men didn't build the house wrong. The house wasn't built on nothing solid. And therein lies the problem. Culture. Yeah, I don't know if I just dropped out there for a second. I was just telling you, the challenges we have on this platform. You already know. But greetings, Pedro. Listen, you cannot change the slavery and Barbados system. That's what it is. That's what it is, cuz. Greetings, family. Greetings. So what they're talking about is re-enslaving Barbadians back onto the plantation in a very nonchalant way. Very nonchalant way. So who bringing in the guns? No note of them from the AG. Now he can't touch. Well, actually, he did say all the guns are coming from America, which I thought was interesting. Since you know where the guns are coming from, you must. Well, since you know where they're coming from, if you told me that they were manufactured in America, well, I guess it's a play with the words. It's a safety net, I suppose. The young girls robbed of their kingdoms, yep, and made to feel that they have no real self-worth. That is what it is right now. That is what it is, man. That is literally what it is, Jackie. Hold on. That's what it is. The guns don't have serial numbers. Probably not. And I mean, I don't know, but I doubt it. So that is how America makes money. We need to be able to call in. Of course, you can call in. The number's on the screen, cuz. The number's on the screen. Wait a minute. You kidding me, man? That is not a problem. Tell a friend to tell a friend. The number's on the screen, cuz. You want to call in 838-8253. You know the area code already. You know the area code already. But that's my position, family. But let me let him finish what he's saying here, man. Hold on a second.
Begun by talking about crime in a very general way. I've admitted up front it is serious. But let us look at some numbers, because there has been an undeniable progression in the number of homicides over the years, and with it a progression in the use of firearms.
Yes, Mr. Dale Marshall, that is obvious. We all know that. But most of the people who are committing these atrocities that you're talking about are young people. How is this even acceptable? How could you sit there and not even mention the fact that, give us the statistics, Mr. Dale Marshall. You can get them from the Office of Sheriff Willoughby, Task Force on Crime Prevention, and whatever else they're supposed to be at Sheriff Willoughby. What's the statistics of these young men that have been accused of homicide? One, how many young men have lost their lives to the same senseless killings? Give us the ages. Give us the statistics of the age range. Give us that. Let us realize that these are kids killing kids. KKK.
In 1987, Mr. Chairman, we had 24 homicides, one less than we did last year, if you can believe that. Not last year, year before, 2023. In 1987, we had 24 homicides. Guess how many were by firearms? Two. Two were by firearms. The following year, we had 21 homicides, but by then, 6 were by firearms. In 1990, we had 30 homicides, 5 by firearms. By 1999, Mr. Chairman, we had 23 murders and 9 were by firearms. In 2001, 25 murders, 10 by firearms. The next year, we had the same 25 murders, but by that time, 15 were caused by shootings. Are you seeing the trend? And so the crime has continued. More homicides each year and a greater percentage caused by firearms, so that last year, 2024, we had 49 murders and 34 were by firearms.
And you sit there and say that with a straight face. Under your watch, the numbers jump significantly under your watch, though. You ain't gonna say that. They jump significantly.
I see your signal, sir. Let me just wind up and allow us to get into the meat of the matter. So, Mr. Chairman, we've committed a lot of our resources and we've done a lot of projects. We've done a lot of things that were novel. We've had regional symposiums, because they keep saying this is a Barbados problem, but it is not a Barbados phenomena.
I want y'all to listen to what he's about to say here. Listen very carefully. That's how I'm telling you, the Caribbean. Listen, family. Tell a friend to tell a friend here. Listen this carefully.
It is a phenomena that has taken over the entire region, and we've been looking at it in a regional way. Mr. Chairman, one of the innovative programs that we have done is to allocate an amount in our budget, perhaps not as much as it could be, for a crime prevention program. This program was started 2 years ago in response to exactly what I just described, a climb in the number of homicides, particularly caused by firearms. And I've just given you some of those numbers. But there was also other intelligence made available to us, which underscored the need to make other and perhaps novel interventions so as to help to cut down on the number of homicides and the illegal use of firearms in our country. Mr. Chairman, the peace program, the National Peace Program, was conceived as such. Let us be clear. Barbados is a small society, a small country. There are no fences or walls high enough to quell the contagion of crime. People who live in Highgate Gardens don't have a fence or a wall high enough to keep crime out.
Now, I'm not sure why he decided to use Highgate of all places. Why he didn't use the Pine, for example, to stop the crime from going in the Pine? Why he didn't use the Farm or the Ville or Chapman Lane or the Orleans? Why Highgate? Why did he use Highgate community? A well-known, you can't make this up, man. They don't, to stop the crime from coming into Highgate. You listen to this thing. So how much crime you feel happens in Highgate in comparison to the rest of to the other communities in Barbados that experience crime on a daily basis? Why Highgate, Mr. Dale Marshall? Why you choose to use, why you wrote that into your, or whatever you read, you know what?
We therefore need to reach into our communities and attempt to show individuals who are either involved in crime or about to become involved in crime that there's a better way.
In other words, what I need is still the high gate.
We have to entice individuals away from the apparent attractiveness of the gun and the gang culture.
There's no attractiveness to gun and gang culture. You got this thing so wrong. Look, these folks are so wrong, so misguided, and so misinformed. You would think that because they are considered learned men. See, this is the misconception. That because you went to the master's school, Cave Hill campus to be exact, I think Cave Hill campus is a private entity. It isn't owned by a government. It's a private institution that has an owner, a board and whatnot. And if I'm not mistaken, it belongs in Europe some way. I think the Queen or Buckingham Palace or one of them people up there is who own the campus, which means that the education system coming out of that is designed to do one thing and one thing only. So I think society has been misled into believing that this education that you're supposed to covet so much, and I would admit education is very important, but like the piper, it depends on who's paying him. Because the piper, who paying the pipers who pick the tune. And so we assume that because these individuals speak eloquently and get their diction correct, and they speak their secret languages, because of the law faculty that they are part of, the society, the law society with legalese as their main language and speech. That when they speak, that they speak to individuals who are unlearned and uneducated, and therefore they believe that they're the brightest bulbs in the room. Unfortunately, if you take that in context, you would think that these people know what they're doing and that the mother who raising 5 children, 6 children on her own don't have a clue. Or the fishermen don't have a clue. It's a bit misleading. Might even make them appear smart when they might be the dumbest ones in the room. Quote, unquote. So I said to say this. When they sit here and say these things and you listen, you gotta understand that when they speak like this, they're not speaking to you, the people in Barbados. They're speaking of you. Of you, not to you. This is a conversation for the plantocracy and the slaveocracy.
This kind of initiative was recognized by our heads. But the point is, sir, that even with the best of law enforcement, we have to find ways to engage with those involved in criminal activity and those who may be attracted to criminal activity to provide them with options.
As if lawyers are not involved in criminal activities, as if politicians are not involved in criminal activities. In fact, I won't even get into the gentleman to his immediate right and what happened that he was in that situation that required a lawyer. I don't know if I don't know what happened. I ain't really looking into it. Not even sure. The streets will eventually talk as usual. In a of hush hush. This bar, like he said, small society. People like that sort of conversations. Me, I ain't interested in that at all. I just hope that nobody was harmed or hurt in the process of the, whatever there was being investigated or whatever statements or whatever misconceptions, whatever.
Mr. Speaker, every time we speak, we say the churches have to get involved with the criminals. We say the NGOs have to get involved in trying to steer criminals away. Everybody has to do it. So why not the government?
You listening to
We have to do it too. In fact, historically, Mr. Chairman, there were some government departments, like the Ministry of Public Works, that was seen as the employer of last resort for individuals with criminal past.
Look, man, I ain't even going on that road. Let me get to the point I want to get to, man. Let me skip forward here, man, because this is where we're going with this right here, man.
That as much as we've made successes, this is a new program. And as is to be expected with new programs, there have been a few mistakes, as well as things that could have been done better.
Things that could have been done better, right?
One instance, funds were used for a project where a few of the persons were still involved in criminal activity. And when I, as Attorney General, became aware of this fact, I immediately put a stop to it. And after consultation with the Prime Minister, we determined that a greater level of scrutiny on all projects needed to be implemented to make sure that all programs, while satisfying or imperative of diverting individuals from a life of crime, had to reflect first a willingness of the persons to change behavior and then to meet a minimum standard of probity.
So let me see if we get this here straight. You through this new program, decide you want to engage with the criminals and give them, you know what, let me let him tell you that again. You all listen to what this man just said here. Just listen carefully.
Interventions, of which 15 were successful. And added to these have been a financial support for a number of NGOs, the King's Trust, St. James Methodist Church, the Boy Scouts Association, Crime Stoppers, and others.
Right. A whole bunch of folks got money to help with this. A whole bunch of folks got money to help with the crime issue in Barbados that has consistently, according to the Attorney General, was always on the uprise, the up and up, up and up. So despite the fact that he's saying that we gave money to all these groups, from the Methodists to everybody else, peace programs, you kidding me? All these other programs, crime still went up, according to him, and the violence still went up, and the homicide still went up. We lost a lot of young men in more ways than one for generational losses, man. These young men would have had children and had children. We've lost generations. And listen what he then says. Listen to this, family. You can't make this up.
Mr. Chairman, though, the fact is that as much as we've made successes, this is a new program. And as is to be expected with new programs, there have been a few mistakes, as well as things that could have been done better. In one instance, funds were used for our project where a few of the persons were still involved in criminal activity. And when I...
How you mean the funds were used? Wait, hold on. Say that again, man.
This is a new program. And as is to be expected with new programs, there have been a few mistakes, as well as things that could have been done better. In one instance, funds were used for our project where a few of the persons were still involved in criminal activity.
Funds were used for a project that the individuals were still engaged in criminal activity. Notice he never said what the project was, though. Just the learned Attorney General, the senior counsel, is so senior that he knows not to mention the name of the program, but just vaguely tell you in passing that there was a program and the funds were still being used by individuals who were engaging in criminal activity.
And when I, as Attorney General, became aware of this fact, I immediately put a stop to it. And after consultation
Put a stop to it. But
with the Prime Minister, we determined that a greater level of scrutiny on all projects needed to be implemented to make sure that all programs, while satisfying our imperative of diverting individuals from a life of crime, had to reflect first a willingness of the persons to change behavior, and then to meet a minimum standard of probity.
So let me get this here straight. So the criminals that y'all engage with, according to you, these gun-toting vagabonds, all these programs were successful. So I mean, if you're saying that, say that. It doesn't sound that way. It doesn't look that way. Unless you're suggesting to Barbados and Barbadians that all your programs, except for the one you mentioned that you didn't really mention, wasn't successful, and that you have a new wave of individuals that are now committing crime separate to the wave of guys before, because those have all been reformed. Is that what you're suggesting to Barbadians? Family, they think you stupid. I'm telling you, they really think you stupid. I don't care what nobody say, man. These individuals, these learned men, think that you are stupid. It is obvious. And they get there and they talk it. Hold on, the time is getting away. Let me get past this. The experiment that was Barbados has systematically continued at the auspices of the most comfortable slaves on the planet. Ooh. I would hate to think so. The political house Negroes, the political house Negroes feels that they are a part of some political class. Of course, it's called Westminster. That's what it's called. They're part of Westminster. Hence, we got anyhow. Greetings, Jacqueline. Greetings to you too. I know y'all gonna do y'all thing. Come on. Come in, Winston. Oh, somebody said come in, Winston. I don't. Winston is on here. I'm not sure. I didn't see him. Somebody said, good night. You're so funny. PM, I will. No, I am hearing you again. Okay, yeah, nah, they had, I think I had dropped out there a minute, Rhonda. You know how it is, man. Shalom to you, my brother. Shabbat shalom. The brothers united in Christ want to come back on the platform and have another conversation. Let me know y'all feel that that's a good move. I think so. I'm going to reach out to them and see what we could do. They say they brought some higher ranking officials to come back on Politically Incorrect, have a conversation with the Rastaman and the wider audience. I love it. I look forward to that, man. Need to teach the children from young who they are. Look, that's the solution right there. Right there. Knowledge of self, man. All roads lead home. Come to mind. So nobody bring them in the country. Yeah. You know how it is. They floated to Barbados in a styrofoam box. That's how the guns get here, man. They float on a styrofoam box. Mark, all made in America. You say what a report. He just about numbers, nothing about any investigation into how the guns are coming in. Well, no, he said he knows. Well, he knows where they're coming from. So I guess if he knows where they're coming from, he knows how they're coming in. He said the suppliers got names, Dale. What are the names? Nah, he can't call them names. He get a phone call or visit. Nah, he can't call names like that. Listen, family. The folks, listen. The long and short. Let me get into this, man. And that's going to post the comments. Let me let him finish, man.
Mr. Chairman, this essentially follows an approach taken by some Caribbean nations, but for us, the guiding principles were those that we found in Chicago, where the former Secretary of Education for Barack Obama, Mr. Arnie Duncan, led an anti-violence NGO called CRED, Creating Real Economic Destiny, that set out to give predominantly gang members a chance at diversion from guns and gangs.
The man going all the way to Chicago here to get resolution. This is crazy. Chicago, oh man. Mr. Dale Marshall, let me give you a little heads up. Go look up somebody by the name of Larry Hoover. Go look up Larry Hoover. That's what you do. Since you're in Chicago and you quoting different people and different groups and NGOs, look up Larry Hoover. That's who you used to look up and realize how this thing really worked, man. Because like I said, you are so misinformed and off track. It's not even funny. But to the white in Barbados, who right now perhaps are shaking hearing these numbers about homicides and crime and youth and guns and gun-toting vagabonds, you know, creating this fear in the people. I'm telling you, man, you going in the history books here, Mr. Marshall, they're telling you, as the worst Attorney General for the nation of Barbados. It don't matter whether you was under the skirt of Miss Motley or under the frock or whether you were clinging to the pants leg of Miss Mia Amor Motley or otherwise, you will not be remembered for no greatness, but will be forever remembered as the Attorney General that sold out the youth of this nation. Yeah, it was going on for a while. We know that. And you just eloquently quoted the numbers. We hear you. But it was under you, Mr. Dale Marshall, that this thing became clear to the people about the plan of enslaving the youth of this nation for clearly generations to come. The gun-toting vagabonds. These are the future of this nation you're talking about. And regardless of what you think, the youth of this nation will inherit this nation one way or the other. But let me let you finish, say what you're saying, because this is crazy right here.
They recognize that in reducing gun violence, the individuals most at risk are not really the problem, but they're also the solution. And that given the particular limited geographical locations associated with gun violence in Chicago, it was recognized that a broad stroke citywide policy would not work. It had to be a highly targeted place-based strategy. Their philosophy and work has been one of the guides for our own work, given their novel nature and given the novel nature of challenges for Barbados.
I suspect the only thing you took from Chicago is how to escalate crime in Barbados via the works of guns. Because if you were studying Chicago, the way you claiming, you quoting this thing, you know, where the decline, Mr. AG? If it is that you are now telling Barbadians in 2025 estimate, after being in that position since 2018, and the violence, according to you again, you just said it, has consistently escalated from then until now, you're telling me and the rest of Barbados that this is now your solution to de-escalate the escalating crime that you have watched for the last 5 years, comfortably, 7 years in total, you can't be serious, man. I'm telling you, these people ain't real. You tuck this man beard, I bet you pull his beard, that it'll reveal. You remember Scooby-Doo? Y'all remember Scooby-Doo? There was always a ghost or a spook that had everybody, panicky. When they catch this ghost and they pull off the mask, it was always somebody other than who they thought it was. I wonder if you pull up that mask, if you would find out that, this is crazy, man. I want to play this, man.
All projects are now considered by an evaluation committee. They go through then the Minister of State, and now they come to.
We want to hear all that. We want to hear that rhetoric. This rhetoric. Let me just skip forward way here quick because the interest of time, family. I just want to, and again, I just want to play "He Who Should Not Be Mentioned" that will be mentioned tonight briefly. Yes.
Permit me, Your Honor.
Permit me, Your Honor.
When the learned Attorney General began, he used the language that his endeavor involves a commitment to do better. Students of language will remind the learned Attorney General that better is an adverb which bears relationship to two other words alternatively. When a gentleman says that his is a commitment to do better, he may be saying that he has done well, and that the adverb as a comparative quality moves from having done well to quote the learned Attorney General, a commitment to do better. I spoke of students of English, and a student of English would want to remind the Attorney General that there is the other possibility that word better as a comparative quality may also relate itself to the word badly. I let the public judge as to whether this learned Attorney General and this government, in relation to the question of crime, has done well or whether it has done badly. The public is the judge. And so the public will judge, and so the public has judged. And so I also have judged. And the students of English and the students of language will want to remind this Attorney General, this learned Attorney General today, that the choice between the words well and badly are not equal choices in this Barbados today.
Yeah, teach him, Mr. Thorne. That's all I can tell you right now, because I don't know. I mean, we've had our run-ins in the past. You know how it is. But in reality, man, this guy here make you look like a shining bulb, man.
In this Barbados of 2025 that has followed Barbados of 2024, the learned Attorney General referred to a book, A Brave New World. There's another book called Voice in the Wind. It is about a slave girl who lived under the Roman Empire.
Yep.
So that is my response to this brave new world, which the learned Attorney General promises. And that prevailing in this country may be a voice in the wind. There's a 7-year-old boy who walks to school every morning. That is a perilous walk. There's a 7-year-old boy who drives to school every morning. That is a dangerous drive. And by his own admission, we heard the learned Attorney General refer to homes and schools and buses and ZRs, and the learned Attorney General understands why he did that. The learned Attorney General will probably now agree with me that a drive in the minibus or the bus or the ZR is now a dangerous drive. Were we doing well? And are we now doing better? Were we doing badly? And will we try to do better? I commend the latter comparative, that the endeavor is to do better because we've done badly. Because that 7-year-old child, whether he's walking through a country lane or an urban street, whether he's in a Zeta or a bus, or his beloved mother's car, a stray bullet can meet him, that 7-year-old boy. The government will say to you that government is not to blame for every incident of criminal wrongdoing. And I want to quote the learned Attorney General again.
Quote it.
When he described certain miscreants in the words, and I quote, gun-toting vagabonds.
Gun-toting vagabonds. Yeah, that right there, man. I'm telling you. I mean, he who should not be mentioned that is mentioned. You know, like I said, I get it. I was never questioning the man, Mr. Thorne. I just have some questions I would like to ask Mr. Thorne. And somehow people like to miss that and felt I was always against Mr. Thorne, I against Miss Buddy, or against me. I ain't against no one. I am for the people of this nation. I love my people. And I love the Almighty. Other than that, I'm not against anything. I'm against people trying to take advantage of my people, or anybody for that matter, especially in my space, so it can't work. Regardless of who it is. If I see somebody taking advantage of somebody else, I'm going to say something. That's just how it is. But when we see the situation for what it is and understand it for what it is, people, we got to ask questions. You can't sit back and well, you could sit back on this, man. You said like Guyana and Barbados are 2 peas in a pod. Because the whole Caribbean, look, Rhonda, they coming for the region. I'm telling you, they coming for the region, man. That's the plan. They coming for the region. Let me go forward here a bit, because like I said, in the interest of time, let me carry this thing forward. Where was we? Let me carry this thing forward. Let me carry it forward. I got a number here I want to jump to. There you go. There you go. Right there. Right there. Yeah. Let me go back here real quick. You can't make this up, man. Rhonda, I'm telling you, can't make this up, Rhonda. Pay attention to this, Rhonda.
Also doing the same thing. We have intelligence which tells us about the interconnection between criminal gangs in Barbados and in Jamaica, between criminal gangs in Trinidad and St. Lucia and Barbados. Individuals travel across the region, sometimes under the guise of music, other times under the guise of holiday. But
under the guise of music. In other words, the artists coming in and going out performing, which is funny. You know, when last I checked, the government was bringing in artists. I just say, man. I don't know.
But we are always in a stance, sir, where we have to look to see how the criminal element is moving up and down our region. So let us begin by accepting that the connectivity between Caribbean states goes beyond legitimate business. It also exists for the purposes of doing illegal acts.
So in other words, the Caribbean has an underground network for criminal activity. Shout out to the family in Toronto, by the way. Big shout out to T-Dot, the whole family in T-Dot, the rest of folks up in the north. Tell us, how cold is it up there in the north right now? I hope it ain't too bad. But let me ask a question here, Mr. AG. Do you not know, or perhaps you were in the house back then again, you may not remember, that the Caribbean was captured by criminals in the first place? And these criminals basically captured the land from the indigenous folks, slaughtered many of these folks from all the islands coming down, which Barbados was the first, according to Mr. Hilary Beckles. And these criminals set up their criminal enterprise under the auspice of country and cooperation with names such as Barbados and so on and so forth, St. Lucia and Jamaica and the likes Trinidad. The same names you calling, the same names you calling are the same criminal enterprise that were established when they came and executed a, pun intended, criminal activity on the peaceful folks that were here. Do you not know this, Mr. AG? And do you not know that those same people have maintained control of these territories ever since then, from intergenerational, not interregional, but intergenerational activities from family to family? Do you not know this? I am sure you have a first-hand knowledge of this, you know. The mere fact that you ain't even mentioning it tells me that you know not to mention it, which means that you know. And these families are still the ones running the plantocracy today, you know, the pedigree. So how you gonna sit there and be so disingenuous as to act as if you ain't got a clue that the same quote unquote criminal element you're referring to is controlled by the same families and the generation of those that came? I mean, this is why I'm telling you people, I'm telling you, they really think that we don't have a clue. They said, no wonder crime is on the rise. They went all the way to Chicago to see how to stop crime in BIM. Nah, they didn't go to Chicago to see how to stop crime in BIM. And that ain't what they went to Chicago to do. You notice the styles of the way in which things happen in Barbados now is almost similar to how it's being done in Chicago. The kind of gun violence we now seeing in Barbados is very similar to the way in which the violence is being done in Chicago. Yeah, crime prevention, my foot. Oh, somebody said Ralph's performance in the house was stellar. He was almost escorted out of the house. Listen, regardless of whether you like Mr. Ralph Torn or not, he is a necessary evil at this point. And I say evil in the sense, well, I probably shouldn't say necessary evil, but he said, yeah, pardon me, my apology. He's a necessary thorn. You know, that's the best way to put it. Why do you say that, Emmanuel? No, because that's their plan, man. They met in Guyana back in November. Then they met in Trinidad in December and signed an agreement with America. And that agreement is basically and what that agreement says, and I haven't been able to find the actual document yet, but what it basically is, if your country becomes unstable with regards to crime and crime management, especially violence by way of gun, they sign an agreement that allow America soldiers to come in, boots on the ground, and assist. Look at Trinidad. He's not doing a proper job, but that's the whole, no, he's doing a proper job, all right. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. Exactly what he's supposed to do. He's telling me he copied the Chicago model and is surely working. Working how, Pedro? They only working in one direction. I would have got away with it too if it weren't for you Prepsy kids, huh? Yeah, man. Yes, family, here lie, Rastafari. Did Marcia, wait, hold on. I did private word with me? I don't know. That's the message for me personally speaking, or that's somebody in the chat you're referring to, Easy D. He looks nervous. Those orders he following got him babbling. It's a fact, man. You know what? I got something else with it. Listen, what he said, like I said y'all earlier, they look at, this is pure enslavement. Listen to what he says next, though. I'm going to play that clip, then we're going to roll out, because I see the time. I wasn't going to be here this long. And I'll play part of the other one tonight. Maybe we'll follow up on that on Monday. Let me play that. Easy D. I'm not sure you're referring to me or somebody else regarding Marcia. What else is here? Richard said it is minus 15. Ooh, stop playing, brother. It really cold up here. Oh man, look, we're gonna send you. Look, we ain't even gonna send you no sunshine. Buy a ticket and come to Barbados, man. That's what I can tell you. We got a few Airbnbs. We got a few cultural folks you can squeeze in somewhere. You're gonna be good. Get a little breadfruit in the morning with a little bakes and fritters and some sea moss and something, the eggs and bacon. We're dealing with that. So if you have so much intelligence, have you action on it? If so, why do crime numbers continue to climb? Well, let me tell you why they continue to climb. Let me let him tell you. Hold on. Where we at? 107. I got it timestamped.
Mr. Chairman, Almost daily in Jamaica, one area of Jamaica or another is subject to states of emergency. The crime rate in Jamaica is huge.
Good morning.
We ain't dealing with that comparison nonsense. We're not trying to highlight the issue somewhere else to make ours look insignificant by comparison. You see, that's some narcissistic thing, you know. Well, it worse over there, so we ain't so bad. Listen, losing one young man. I told someone today, you know, the amount of young men we lost, man. The amount of youth that we lost, especially from certain communities. I had to say it, the streets don't love the youths, because we allow the streets to take our children over and over and over, and we wait for these so-called ministers to do something when clearly the only thing they're probably doing is creating the problem in the first place, not addressing the needs and the real issues of the people, and therefore putting the people in a backward spiral, causing self-destruction, promoting self-hate for lack of knowledge of self. No longer.
Colleagues, to answer your question directly, I would like to start by saying that in 2023, the heads of government declared crime as a public health issue in Trinidad. And if you're familiar with the public health approach, there's primary, secondary, and tertiary level. The same thing applies with crime prevention. Primary crime prevention speaks to addressing the deep social root causes of crime. That is things, Mr. Chair, like education, poverty, housing. And although the obviously attorney...
Education, poverty, and housing, you know, these are the matters that cause the real criminal activities. Education, poverty, and housing. Really, you know, I'm again, man, you cannot make this up. If this is what they're honestly thinking, and it must be, after all, they actually came out here, they wrote this stuff, first of all, allocate this hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money, according to what they're telling us, towards these initiatives. And these are the areas that they're approaching as a result of their studies or whatever, their statistics, whatever, that's supposed to help mitigate these deeply rooted criminal issues. No wonder they can't solve the issue. None of what he's talking about there will address the issue properly. None of them. It might factor in a degree of comfort for people who are discomfort in terms of education, housing, poverty, which is a state of mind. The reality is nothing he just said addresses why there's crime the way that there's crime in Barbados, or the region for that matter. Nothing. Now, let me let him finish though. Hold on.
The Attorney General is not responsible for that aspect. The government of Barbados is continuously working with our aggressive housing program. Our
aggressive housing program. So we're going to put the individuals in a house.
Education transformation.
We're going to put them back at school. We're going to send the ones committing the crime now back into school, and we're going to fix that.
Our one family program. All of these.
I'm not even sure what that one family program is supposed to mean. Like, I don't even have a clue.
These are part of crime prevention.
So these are the areas that are part of crime prevention that we are allocating money to. Listen, you cannot make this up. I don't know where they look. I'm telling you, these individuals are part of a certain order, a plantocracy. These are the children. They're got to be the children of those who did the enslaving. It got to be, because this is madness. It don't even make sense if you really think about it. Is anybody paying attention to this, man? Or it's just me?
Not as sexy as other parts that persons tend to dwell on, but all of that is part of crime prevention. The secondary level of our secondary crime prevention,
not as sexy as parts of the
speaks to those who are predisposed or on the periphery of crime.
Predisposed to crime. You hear this? Or on the periphery of crime. Look, man.
And that is where a lot of our work is targeted, to ensure that we get to persons before they become criminals. So as you said, Honorable Member, we don't have to focus on lick and lock up. And then, of course, there's the tertiary crime prevention, which really, in another word, is
tertiary crime prevention. You hearing this?
About rehabilitation and reintegration. And I have said from the beginning, and I continue to say, that unless we are going to execute every criminal or keep them in prison for life, we have to focus on rehabilitation, because they return to this society where we live.
I wonder what is the recidivism rate. Mr. Corey Lane, I wish you had in this conversation here told Barbadians, what is the, Mr. Thorne, maybe you can answer this question if you are still in the position to do so. What's the recidivism rate for Her Majesty Dodds Prison, whatever it is called? What's the recidivism rate? Since there's a reintegration and rehabilitation program, what is the recidivism rate? And recidivism basically is the rate at which people return to prison who were once there before. Tell us, give us those, Miss Willoughby, I gotta stop with this, man. Tell us what the number is for recidivism in Barbados.
And that is all part of the program for the National Crime Prevention Program. Now, to get specifically to answer your question, I want the members of the House and the public to know that there are 3 areas which we focus on, and that is intense empirical data collection called research, which is done by the Criminal Justice Research and Planning Unit. There is nothing willy-nilly about anything that we do, and if the director of the unit speaks today, you will see the intensity of the research that is done. Now,
well, give us the numbers.
that research determines what we do, where we do it, how we do it, even down to when we actually do it.
You hear that? Even down to when we do it. The research tell us when to step in. Listen, you can't make this up. They actually tell you the madness they're doing. We're collecting all this data. We have all this information. Corey, I can call you Corey because, well, I shouldn't call it. Yeah, I can call you Corey. I know you from way back. Way back. Vibes Cartel tickets, the whole 9 yards. Even as far as Planned Parenthood. Yeah. Here's a reality. Them statistics was available back then. And although we was telling all y'all back then what was going on and what to do to resolve it, none of y'all ain't paid the mind. None of y'all. None. Not the DLP, and clearly no, not the BLP. Not the DLP, not the BLP. Adriel Bradford, Miss Bradford, and man, look.
There's the area of policy, which is in its developmental stages, calling upon our criminologists and other criminologists to ensure that as we review the research, what type of policies need to be put in place and what type of programs need to be put in place. And then, of course, there is the program aspect, the one that we focus on a lot, because over the years, let's admit, they've been on the investment in our young people over the last couple of decades. And they've also been implementation deficit disorder, meaning that we could always do more and do better. Now, the national...
Everybody's claiming they could do more and do better. They realize that they have failed, but yet they won't step down. Let people who can actually do the work come and do the work. They just want a chance at doing the same thing they've been doing.
National Peace Program is the part that focuses on the programmatic part of it, the action part of it. And that is where you get the pillars that you've asked about. We're not going to it in detail, but I can tell you what the pillars are. There's public awareness, there's national engagement, there's violence reduction, there's rehabilitation, reintegration, therapy and support, and there's a support pillar. Now, these pillars have been built again based on the research. What is the research telling us? The research is telling us that just like stigma and discrimination for HIV and AIDS, for cancer and all the different things, that there must be a raising of the awareness of people so that we have a more forgiving society. We have a society that doesn't want to believe in lick and lock up. So the public awareness is important. In terms of the criminal world, in terms of the at-risk world, in terms of the vulnerable world, there's a disconnect sometimes about that world and the other people. There needs to be an awareness on both sides of what is going on. That pillar deals with that.
Look, man, I can't even listen to this no more. Like, I mean, I'm not. Let me go here. Look, let me skip forward here, man, a little bit. Let me just get forward here a little bit. Let me just cut forward here. It's unbearable, man, because it is rhetoric. It is rhetoric at its worst, not even at its best, is absolute foolishness and complete folly. It's like you have a Rolex watch that seems to be broken, and you take that Rolex watch and give it to a chimpanzee and expect somehow that the chimpanzee is going to know how to restore it to its original order.
Take notes so that you can illuminate the chamber on the benefits to be derived from programs such as this.
Thank you again, Honorable Member. I won't go too slow because I can see the chairman nodding at me every once in a while. He's on me and not you, so I have to go as quick as I can. But really, actually, let's get serious. In another life, you're in another hat. I used to do some Sunday programs. And every time those programs focused on social ills of this country, within about halfway through the program, we came down to one single thing every single time, and that was parenting. And the need to strengthen parents as a real, true, hardcore, sustainable, long-term crime prevention mechanism and social ill mechanism. I am proud to say that through the National Peace Program, but more so in partnership with a number of NGOs, namely the Paradox. I think people will be very familiar with those. Men's Organization, the Barbados Professional Association of Social Workers, CISL, which is really the Caribbean Institute of Social and Emotional Learning, deals a lot with emotional intelligence, and Amar Empowerment, a Christian support group. They've been able to train and complete a parenting program with 1,904 parents in this country.
Meaning what, Corey? I mean, meaning, hold on, it's the best part. Listen to the audience and inquire.
1,904 parents in this country between the 4th of May last year and the end of November. And
that is y'all did great. We had 1,000 parents come, and I assume that is 1,000 women, or is that maybe 500 women and 500 fathers. Like when you said parents, exactly how many? Because it's a single home. If it was a single home, like, the numbers that matter, we're not hearing. Was it a single home parent? Was it a mother and father in the house kind of parent scenario? What kind of parent? Father alone? So it sounds good, but to what end? Because if they do not have the resources to sustain themselves economically in their housing, and the parents again are out working, regardless of how perfect their parenting skills might be, children will suffer from neglect, and they'll find the attention where they find it. That's dealing with a whole other social issue as opposed to just parenting. And although I would agree parenting is a factor, it's a little difficult to bend a tree when it's old. You gotta catch it when it's young. And although you can have an impact on a social level, here's the key. It takes a village, man. It takes a village. The issue is not just the parents, Corey. It is the fact that we no longer have our village. They burned the village, man. And the kids now have found the matches and realize that y'all don't care nothing about them. You cannot out this fire. And no matter amount of rhetoric y'all talk, we'll do so. And here's to prove it. Here's to prove it, family. Let me go and prove it. Let me skip this here because he ain't saying much after that. Let me go the road up here. Let me just course up here a little further the road. Let me go all the way here to the end. Let me go to the end. This is the last clip I can play, or second last clip. This is right here. This should be it. Let me play it right here, man. Yeah. Let me play this right here, family. For those paying attention, because this is right where it gets real interesting now and sticky. It's amazing how he talks as if he is innocent of everything going on, right? This is what I'm trying to tell you. After said it's minus 15 here. Wow, man. Folks up in the north in Canada dealing with minus 15 weather. It cold, man. Such a job has been done on us whereby the AG indicated himself and his government in his own speech, or conditioning has been conditioned. Monsters and monstrosities and worthy of great pity. That's his own words, but Drax slaves. That's crazy. I don't know who that is, man. Let him tell you what the solution, another solution is, what they call a solution. You cannot make this up, people. You cannot make this up. Greetings to the elder. Greetings, family. Yeah, he definitely knows he's their puppet. He's the man that always get the call before the fire trucks when the fires go on. Remember? He's the same guy. When were we ever free? It's an illusion. Wait, greetings and salutations. I feel like this is a deja vu. Agreement allows for American boots on the ground. Yeah, you know what's happening. That's what Columbus did. They signed over the borders. Okay, once you know, show it to the family, man. America that ain't got their act together. Of course, they did that on the Biden real quick before Trump rolled in. I wonder why. Chicago is a gun-toting tongue, so it's working. So Sean said, we are born into slavery. Ross, it was in jest. Wait, hold on. That's, you mean regarding the conversation, if I had a conversation, was in jest? You funny, AZD. Now I haven't heard in a little while. I'm sure she's doing some works all over. That's good. So to all the people putting in works, a lot of folks making things happen and bringing awareness to Barbadians as best, you know, we can. I say that, you know, across the board, because somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. And somebody got to do it. I got a call coming in. I want to play this last part real quick. Hang on a second. Hello, greetings. Welcome. You're on the air. Welcome to Politically Incorrect on the air.
Good night. This is Victor Hunter Perryman Young.
Wait, Mr. Young, how are you?
I'm fantastic. The only thing is that you are getting too confused with these bunch of political lunatics.
But you say
They're these political lunatics. I don't listen to them when they're speaking.
when you say confused, how you mean? By listening to them?
Yes, they would get confused by listening to them because they're a bunch of lunatics.
Nah, they're not confusing me, Mr. Young. I see clearly what they try. They confusing the people of Barbados, the good people of Barbados. They're trying to.
You notice that smiling puss doesn't smile much now?
Why you think that is?
Because he realized that people are not getting trapped with that smile that he put on them.
That's right. His spell is, we're not on his spell anymore, man.
That's the thing. You don't see going all up to Chicago to find out the remedy, and he got the poor commissioner sitting down there beside him because I believe he hands tied too.
Come on, of course his hands are tight. He just a front. He's only a front until it comes to his own people. He can't do nothing else upstream. Nothing.
That's right.
Nothing.
So I don't let these lunatics fool people all the time. They would only fool the political prostitutes.
Wow. Well,
I don't know if you know that we got a lot of political prostitutes and political pimps.
Well, you know what? I am aware of how that arena works to a great degree. What I will tell you, however, that a lot of Barbadians are unsure and unaware. Therefore, they make the same mistake by entrusting them selection after selection as if it's not an in-house private party.
Rebecca, let me tell you something. They better listen to him good. I don't know if they're really listening.
I don't know. That's why I had to put this on, because that's why I listen, because see, the thing about the devil is this. The devil has to tell you what his plan is. He can't just spring it on you. He has to tell you, because you have to make the choice to go along with it.
And let me tell you something. I don't get caught up with parties or politicians, but he's the worst attorney general. All the increase on all the time, so I don't know what he would be proud about.
But you got to hear what he's going to say next, man. So let me play this last clip, and you can give me your thoughts on that.
I don't even want to listen to you. I think when he can talk, I'll be in my gym putting some work to make physique look better.
No. I want you to hear this part. This is too important to miss, because this is.
Or give me it.
I'm gonna play it now, and you could always give me a call. Let me know what you think about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Give thanks, Mr. Young.
Good, buddy.
Night. The elder has spoken, man. Wow. Samir saw his talent, man. What big talk saying nothing, man. Let me tell you, man, that's crazy. But let me let you hear this part now of what he's about to say. She's a fine one to be talking. Let me let this last piece here play. Listen to this carefully, family.
Attention to the civil bar will be able to tell you, civil bench will be able to tell you that decisions are being churned out in record time.
He was referring to the new judges that they appointed, So what they're saying is that guys are no longer sitting indoors waiting a sentence. They're being sentenced and, that kind of thing. But listen to this carefully.
I hope that in another year's time we'll be sitting in this place to be able to give you better statistics, because the practice of, the area of judicial work is now being addressed from a far more scientific, statistical background than the way in which we're accustomed doing it. What we normally do is we say number of cases filed, number of cases heard, decisions given, and that's it. That's a very basic statistical framework. But in truth and in fact, it is very, very sophisticated, and we don't have those resources, and we now have to put those kinds of resources in place. The IDB has indicated to us that they're willing to fund for a period of 6 months a statistician out of Jamaica who specializes in judicial statistics, and they're going to fund it, and we're going to have him in Barbados for the purpose of giving us a scientific assessment of the data, but we have come a long way from where we were.
Y'all heard that or y'all missed that? Y'all heard that or y'all missed that? Let me go back there, man. Let me go back there, man. Did y'all hear that or did y'all miss that? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna go through the comments and see anybody said anything. Y'all heard that, man? What he said? Serve the time, still can't get a job when they leave prison because they need a police certificate of character. So all of that education is a waste. Well, they can always do the roadside work. You know what I'm saying? Greetings, family. Greetings, greetings. How things with you, family? Ras, it is like putting lipstick on a pig. Oh, man. Easy, D. Be easy, D. Be easy. It's like, it looks cute until it puts its head back in the trough to eat. Yo, stop playing, man. Easy, D. You easy. Victor's still up. Yes, he's somewhere around here. He was. I thought he was going to call in. Is the proper name Young? Let me see. Hold on. Victor Young. Yeah, that's his name, Mr. Young. Yes. And he's young in spirit and young in soul, man. Yeah, who is Smiling Puss? Guy Smiley? Listen, I don't know who is Smiling Puss or Guy Smiley. I've heard rumors. I don't know. And we ain't gonna resort to name calling, man. We're a bit more dignified than that. I like to think to some degree. And I said to some degree. When all is said and done, the biggest criminals, they're talking in the same Parliament House. That's an absolute fact. Facts, and more facts, man. This man sung so much like my grandfather. I miss him. Yeah, he's Victor. Victor, no joke. Victor may have taken something tonight. Nah, Victor, he don't need to take anything. He's full of energy and full of life, man. These politicians are plebiscites. They ain't easy. Talking a lot, but not saying much. Yep, typical Guyana. You would think so, right? One Caribbean, all the rest, IDB will fund it. You heard that the IDB will fund it, Pedro. But hold on. Listen again carefully to what he said is being funded. This is critical, family. Pay attention. Pay attention to this, family.
So the practice of, well, the area of judicial work is now being addressed from a far more scientific, statistical background than the way in which we're accustomed doing it. What we normally do is we say number of cases filed, number of cases heard, decisions given, and that's it. That's a very basic statistical framework. But
listen to the but, family. If you're now tuning in, if you're only hearing this one part, if this is the only part you heard for the night, listen to this, family. But
in truth and in fact, it is very, very sophisticated, and we don't have those resources, and we now have to put those kinds of resources in place. The IDB has indicated to us that they're willing to fund.
So the IDB is about to fund something. Notice he's very ambiguous about this whole thing and somewhat a bit vague, but he mentions it in passing. Listen carefully.
For a period of 6 months, a statistician out of Jamaica.
A statistician out of Jamaica.
Who specializes in judicial statistics.
Because there's nobody in Barbados who is remotely close to being qualified.
And they're going to fund it, and we're going to have him in Barbados for the purpose of giving us a scientific assessment of the data. But we have come a
scientific assessment of the data that we have collected over the data we have collected. Let me leave it at that.
Long way from where we were.
You've come a long way, though.
When this administration started.
Come a long way. And how many young men have you buried? How many of these families did you reach out to, Mr. AG? Mr. AG, how many of these families did you personally reach out to share your condolences and to insist that you will not stop or rest until you resolve these matters and give the families peace? I wonder how many of them you really reach out to for truth, though, if any at all. We getting insulted on steroids. I dare not speak live with get shut down. Yeah, I telling you, man. Smile a lot. That is why. This is like the fox now going to teach the chicks how as we had no hands. Wait, this is like the fox now going to teach the chicks how we had no hands. It says evil. The same IDB that gave the children a questionnaire without our consent will be funding a scientific and statistician assessment on data on crime. Why does that sound sinister? Man. More money laying around for the invisible to pocket. Yep. I like that one. Rat City, man. Lab Rat City, man. Lab Rat City, man. That's what it is, man. Lab Rat City. Well, anyhow, what time is it, man? I've been on here a little minute. That wasn't the plan, family. I know it's getting kind of late. So 11:30, family. We're going to just shut it down, man. So what we giving the IDB free data? Again, family, and he coming to assess. They're going to have to hand over the information. Seeing so, we're no longer on the gray list of countries involving money laundering, quote unquote. I'll let him tell you that in the next video. But you see this one right here, family? I want you to really understand here, overstand this thing, right? Tell him, Daffodil, it's time to come out, people. Show it to Fade and Barbados National Congress, man. Straight up, man. Big shout out to the people government, because that's what's going on. It's time to come out of her here. I'm telling you, this thing about to get sticky. Real sticky. 6 months isn't very long for a transformational change. Once you know, but it's enough time to shuffle some money around and also justify giving up information that's probably God knows to do what. Anyhow, family, that's all people's. That's all we're going to do tonight, man. I had to touch on this, man. There's a few other things. In fact, the other thing I wanted to touch on, which I really probably should still touch on in passing, because it is relevant to this. In fact, hold on a second, man. I'm just going to give you a part of it. Maybe we can pick this up on Monday. Where we at? I got to look for it first. I don't know if y'all realize this recently happened, and I don't have the article with me, but I do have part of it. Y'all know y'all know the IMF said that the Caribbean education system right now is in crisis. Y'all know that? They said it was in crisis, man. As if something is definitely wrong with it. What's wrong with it is that the system is basically cranking out criminals. Let me just play this clip real quick. This one in part. It's not very long. Not very long. It's only a minute. Let me play this real quick, family.
It then begs the question.
Hang on a second. Let me make sure you can catch this for what it's worth. I don't want this to come across in the wrong light. Hang on. Normal speed. Hang on.
It then begs the question, what really is learning? When our students pass exams, are we certain that they have understood the material, or is it that they have been prepared for the questions that may be presented on the paper? Have they understood the material enough to apply to various situations, that is, to participate in near and far transfer? And what about the values that should be associated with the learning and the competencies that should be learned. It is therefore imperative that we define learning outcomes at all levels and in all domains, and give our students an opportunity to effectively demonstrate their true learning in all of these domains using a variety of forms. It's about enhancing learning outcomes across all levels, from pre-primary all the way to secondary. And we want to ensure that the education system is built on a firm foundation, one that is fair, inclusive, relevant, and modern. To this end, we are seeking to universalize pre-primary education. At present, the basic education is for children from ages 5 up to 16 years old, but we want to make this education accessible to 3-year-olds.
Let me just say this real quick. Hang on a second. Let me just.
It then begs.
Let me just say this real quick, man. I don't know 3-year-olds, preschools, early learning, family. I'm gonna put the article here. Y'all go read it. We're gonna pick this up on Monday. Let me give you the article right now. Hold on, copy that. Let me give you the article right now. Here, look. The link is in the comment section. Please feel free to enlighten yourself with this information. There you go. Caribbean education system has a lot wrong with it. Even the CXC ain't, etc., ain't recognized in the outer world. So why still continue with them? Because it's not about enlightening our children. It's about enslaving our children. Caribbean education in crisis. World Bank warns. Remember, now she's at a conference with the World Bank speaking, but the World Bank is warning that, as far as they're concerned, the Caribbean education is in a state of crisis. Crisis. That's the demand. She said the World Bank has delivered a damning verdict on the Caribbean education system, labeling it as being in a state of crisis and warning of severe consequences if urgent reform are not implemented. You can't make this stuff up. During a virtual webinar on Monday, senior officials from the National Financial Institution led bare the systematic inadequacies plaguing Caribbean schools, highlighting outdated teaching practices, ill-equipped infrastructures, and widening educational inequalities. This is crazy. They stress the need for significant financial investment and enhanced teacher support to reverse the region's educational decline. We've been saying it for a while, family. We've been talking about this going and coming. Look, man, we can talk this education on Monday, family. Bet believe. The link right in the comments. Do some research on it. Realize. So when she was there talking all that right there, then folks laughing. They laughing because they already had a conversation. So they only meeting with you to hear what you got to say. Then they'll tell you. So you come on there and say all you had to say. Then they tell you their verdict. Y'all jokers, man. They look at us like we trained monkeys, man. Trained to fetch a newspaper like a dog and bring it back to the table for a snack. Call a salary. Man, I out to here, man. This I out to here, man. Family, give thanks. Haile Selassie first. Empress Reserve Menin. One perfect balance. Come out of her, my people. It is time to centralize so we can mobilize. Because if we ain't see the need to organize by now, we'll never get it, man. Shout out to Fayette and Barbados National Congress all day, every day, all day. Yeah. You know, family, we gonna link for joy evening, make this weekend a strong one, and make it happen, man. You know what I'm saying? We done talked about all of this. Ain't nothing else to say. Anyhow. Oh, Aunt Rose, my grand Aunt Rose used to always say, a word to the wise is enough. A word to the wise is enough. Yeah. I can leave it at that, man. Let me see if I can drop a tune here real quick. Let me see if I can drop a tune here real quick. I didn't even see if I could drop a tune real quick. See if I can drop a tune, man. I don't know where to start for tonight, man, because positive vibes strictly, family. Yeah. I can do something a little different tonight, man. A little different. I know why. I feel a little different tonight, man. Put this tune on here. I wouldn't normally play this tune. That's a reality, man. But I can play this tonight, man. Spirit said play this tune here, man.